Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics, gearing up for a quick session in the morning. We've got a little bit of rain overnight, so hopefully it doesn't dirty our water up too much. Overnight tonight we've got a big high tide, and in the morning we've got a big low tide. So basically my hope is fish come in on that big high up over the weed flats and that to feed, and as the tide drops out in the morning it's not dropping out over the edges, so hopefully the fish stay up hunting in around the weed beds. So we're going to be fishing nice and light because we're fishing shallow water. We're going to be fishing 30 centimeters to a meter of water. So I've got a few light spin rods I'm gearing up, and I've got a binder here. In there I'm going to have a couple of ZMan favorites. So I'll be taking that SwimZ 2.5 inch. Everyone knows I love that. It's a great plastic. And also the 2.5 inch GrubZ. So small bite-sized plastics, because we're mainly going to be targeting brim with a few other mixed bag of species possibly thrown in there as well. So 2.5 inch SwimZ and GrubZ. And I'm going to be rigging them lighter than I normally fish because we are fishing weed and we are fishing really shallow. So I've taken, you know, a lot of people said to me, lighten up your Jighead, lighten up your Jighead, you know, because I do fish heavy and fast. So we're going to slow it down a little bit, and we're going to fish a 1/8 ounce in a 1/0 light. So TT HeadlockZ Finesse, fine gauge hook, which is great for penetration on those brim with their bony mouths. And we're going to probably pick up a few other random species as well, hopefully up there on the flats. So 1/8, 1/0 in that Finesse. 10-pound leader again, because I don't want to get bitten off by too many flatties, so there'll be flatties around. So 10-pound Platypus hard Armour leader, and throw on some Procure scent as well. So that's our kit, nice and simple. A few hours out on the flat in the morning. Hopefully this rain goes away and we get into a few fish. Alrighty, here we go. A quick session over the weed flats. Fishing 1/2 meter to meter of water. Chasing brim on a couple of ZMan favorites. We're going to run a 2.5 inch GrubZ and a 2.5 inch SwimZ, and I'll talk to you about how I fish those. I am rigged on a 1/8 ounce 1/0 TT HeadlockZ Finesse Jighead, and because the water's pretty dirty, we had another dump of rain overnight. The water's fairly dirty, so I'm running the motor oil and midnight oil colours, and I'll just talk to you about how I fish these two different plastics, and we'll see if we can get a few brimbos. We've got a low tide, so we've got a little bit of run out left and then a bit of run in. It's a giant low tide and a low high, so we've only got about 60 centimeters of water movement. So I'm hoping that the brim are already up on these flats, because yep, there's a ton. The brim are already up on the flats here because there's enough water for them. So I'm sitting in 90 centimeters of water at the moment over the top of the weed. You can see a little bit of bait flicking around there as well, which is a good sign. A few shakes to start with, and then just into that roll. Slow, just try mixing up the retrieve speed as well. I'm hitting the bottom there, so I'm going to speed up a little and flick it up a bit off the bottom. Just want to keep that lure, you know, just above the bottom. Those brim will be cruising around the top of the weed looking for things to smash. So if our bait's on or near the weed, now Placky, we're in with a good chance. Oh, how did you miss that one, you dinger? Oh, how did you miss that? Seriously. Oh, there we go. As soon as it hit the water, he whacked that one. On the weed edge there. Not a monster by the feel of him, but our first of the session. Here's a nice brimbo. And that's on that 2.5 inch SwimZ. A favourite of mine, just hopping and rolling him. Oh, he's hooked right on the top of the mouth. So there you go, not a giant brim. No, he's not a bad fish. Just put him on the measure as a bit of an indication, so. Oh, settle down, buddy. So that's just bait on the weed. You can see a couple of birds. There's a bird here and a bird here feeding, so that's a good sign that there's bait up on here for the birds. Good sign there'll be something there eating it. He's about a 30 tipper, 27 forker, so you know, not a bad size Brimbo. Tournament dudes would be happy with 5 to kick themselves off anyway, that's for sure. So that's that 1/8 ounce HeadlockZ Finesse in a 1/0. You can fish a 1 if you prefer a smaller hook. Just hopped and rolled across the flats. Beautiful. Just before that fish I had another rattle and lost him, but that one was a solid hook set, so a bit more scent on there, scent right down to the tip of the tail. And that's a beautiful little presentation, just a beautiful bait fish presentation. I can see the bait fish flicking up on the flats here. It's only shallow, so I've got that 1/8, like I can see the bottom here well and truly. And the fish are just, because it's a high low, the fish are just lurking around up on this top of this weed flat. So, oh, she's real shallow in that bit I just hit. So just got to try and hit the pockets, hit the edges, hit the little deeper sections, and that's often where you'll find the brim. So I'm right up on top of it now, so I'm going to get off it a little bit. Alright, 1 metre of water. So you've got the ability to fish it a couple of different ways, fishing this metre of water. So we can get that plastic, give it a couple of shakes and just give it a roll. Pause every now and then if you want to, give it a couple more flicks, shakes. And basically we're just, it's like a bait fish trying to swim out of this weed flat, and the fish will belt it as they see it going past. So we can fish like that, cover a lot of water. The other thing we can do, being in 1 metre of water, is we can hop the bottom. So as long as it's not too weedy, we can let the plastic touch down on the bottom, give it a couple of shakes, watch your line. Oh, 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 and then the fish eats it. Crazy. We only got a couple of hops in, 1 hit on the bottom, so not sure if it's a flatty or not. Running us up into the weed. No, it's a nice Brimbo. Nice brim on that edge. So you can see then that was the hop. We paused it, it went to the bottom, and he just ate it as it touched down on the bottom. He's a solid fish. I might be a grunter, is it? No, Brimbo. Put him in the net. That's that SwimZ again. He crunched it when it got to the bottom. He's a good fish. He is a nice Brimbo, healthy condition fish. Oh, settle down, buddy. I'm just going to put him on the measure as well, just to get a basic idea of the size of the fish we're getting. So he's about a tipper, about a 32 to the tip. Fairly solid fish. Hooked solid in the corner of the jaw on that Finesse hook. So remember, HeadlockZ HD and HeadlockZ Finesse. So the Finesse is the finer gauge hook, which is great for penetrating the bony mouths on these fish. But remember, also it's a finer wire hook, so it's meant for lighter lines. And yeah, less drag settings and that sort of thing. You don't want to go brutally hard on that sort of hook. It's built more for penetration. So that's a nice fish. We'll swim him, send him on his way. Alright, so before that fish drilled it, I was basically showing you 2 different techniques that I use with this plastic. So weed flats, metre of water, bit of rubbly broken bottom, so I don't mind fishing the bottom. So I can give this a shake and a wind and just roll this plastic back in, shake and a wind, give it a pause, give it a roll, let it hit the bottom a little if you want. So that's one way that I commonly fish it, is just keep it moving. Don't give the fish too much time to think about it. The other way that I'll often fish it is to let it touch down on the bottom. Boom, on the bottom, give it a couple of shakes. Stop, oh, give it a couple of shakes. Let it hit the bottom again. And you'll see your line go slack. So my line, watch my line, boom, on the bottom. Your line goes slack when it's on the bottom. And that's when that fish nailed it before. As soon as it went slack on the bottom, Boom, the fish nailed it. Once we get into the really shallow stuff, I like to keep it moving a bit more, because we're going to hit a bit of weed and that sort of thing. But in the deeper stuff, if the bottom is a bit cleaner, you can just hop and pause in amongst the weed there. Shake it over the top. We picked up a little bit of weed that time. If it gets too weedy, we can always switch it up for our weedless presentation. Because it's such a high low, the water hasn't drained right out of here since the big night tide. So there could be fish holding right up in here still. So I'm just sneaking my way up in here. The great thing with the kayak and the level of stealth that I've got here, I can really sneak in here. And I basically just sort of bang, 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 fanning cast across the drain. Not a lot of water in here, but it doesn't take a lot of water to hold a flatty or a good brim, you know, if they're balling bait up, pushing bait right up into the end of here. Sorry about the glare. It's another really overcast, glary sort of day. But these are good days to get up and fish the shallows, because we've got a nice little wind ripple on the water now, just a slight breeze, which is good because it makes it harder for the fish to see us. And also that overcast day gives them a bit of cover, so they're more likely to get up in the shallows and hunt and that sort of thing. So pretty good conditions really. Slight breeze and overcast conditions, so good for hunting the shallow weed. Oh, come on, buddy. What are you right up on top of the weed? Eh? What are you? You've got a bit of weight to you. You're going to get a bit cranky. Flatfish, are you? Nice little flatty. So there you go, that flathead, I'm only in about less than a metre of water. Yep, nice flatty. So I'm in less than a metre of water there. I'm not actually hitting a lure on the bottom. I was shaking it and rolling it, that 2.5 inch slim swims. Just rolling it above the weed. Alright. Got you on the grips, buddy. Chill out, don't want to lose the rod and the drink. Yeah, so that flatty, we know the flatties are on the bottom, but they will, you know, they've got eyes on top of their head, they will feed up. So he has come up and attacked that presentation. Mess, muddy. Mess there. And he has absolutely scoffed that slimmy, so he's come up and absolutely drilled it. That's why I'm fishing a 10-pound leader. Even though I'm chasing brimbos, I'm fishing a 10-pound leader. You know, the water's not overly clear, so 10-pound leader is no issue for the brim here that I'm chasing. And if you get a flatty like that, you got much more chance of it not biting you off with 10-pound. If you're primarily just on a brim flat and mainly just catching brim, then you might want to drop your leader size, but that is scuffed up pretty bad. Probably still go a few more rounds, but I'll change it. And there you go, that's that 1/8 ounce 1.0 HeadlockZ Finesse 2.5 inch slim swims motor oil. Not a monster, but I think that guy is going to come home for dinner for Sherry and I. Always nice to catch a flatty when you're out chasing a few brim on the flats. Oh, what are you? What are you? Eat that. Yep. I don't know what that is though. It's cranky, there's a bunch of fish there. Surely not just a pike, you've got to be a brimbo. A little school of brimbo there going crazy. Yep, he's got mates with him. Got a few mates swimming around there with him as well. Only a little fella, but there you go, another brimbo. Just rolling that in 1 metre to half a metre of water. He smashed it. Nice little fish. And we might have to call it early at that fish as well. I got a text message from Sherry. There's a severe weather event coming, so get off the water. So that'll do us for today. Quick little session, flicking around that. Oh, get out of there. Flicking around that 2.5 inch Slim Swims, rigged on that 1/8 ounce #1 TT HeadlockZ Finesse Jighead. So, well, they say just one more cast. So thanks for joining me out on the water again. Hopefully I'll be out a lot more now. I've been pretty busy, tied up with a few random things, but now I'm full on back on the water again. So stay tuned for heaps of video from me. If there's anything you'd like to see specifically, just give us a yell. If there's anything you want us to try and talk you through technique wise or lure wise or even species wise, we'll see how we go. Fish on. Yep. Oh, I drilled that. Oh, geez, he smashed that. What are you, buddy? Brimo. Clobbered it. Oh. He's fired up. What are you? Solid brim. He's a nice brim. Check that guy out. Again, just rolling the slimmy. So now basically that breeze is picked up with this weather event that's coming. So the breeze is pushing me fast down this flat. Faster than I was drifting. So I'm just using the breeze to throw a long cast and then work that plastic back. He's not a bad fish. Yeah, just using that breeze. Use the breeze to your advantage to throw a long cast and then just that slow roll back again. How's that? They call a weather event. You got to get off the water. The fish just start to bite again, and it's and they're biting on this outside of this bank. So I've drifted right across the bank. I'm on the outside of the bank now. Getting my bites out here. Alrighty, right up on the shallow stuff. Long cast with that wind that's picking up. I'll just bring it back over the flat. So I'm rod tip up and twitching a little bit here with my 1/8 head. Ooh, what's going on there? Whole lot of fish activity just going through there then. Lots of bait. I'm in amongst a bit of rough stuff there. The fish is eating it. That's crazy. What sort of fish are you in amongst that rough stuff there? Angry one. Nice flat fish. Beautiful flatty. He's just up in amongst that weed and rubble. Because it's so shallow, doesn't matter, we're not fishing the bottom. This fish will, flatty will get to that slimmy. Oh, he's a beautiful lizard. Stay in there, mate. Magic. We have grips here somewhere. Put him on the grips. He's only just pinned in the lip. Let's get some grips on him. Have a look at that. He's just pinned in the lip. Oh. A little 2.5 inch slimmy gets the bite again. Might get that out of him actually. That fine gauge hook just pinned him in the lip. Another nice little flatfish. He'll be illegally on the ruler. Might take him home for a mate of mine. He's had a couple of health issues and a dose of COVID, so he would love a nice feed of flatfish. So I'm going to fill that up for the old bloke, and he will, I'm sure he'll enjoy that immensely. There you go, rolling slimmies over the weed and rubble. Fish on. What are you sitting on top of the weed eating white slim swims? Another little flatfish. He's a baby, that one. Don't bite me off, buddy. Oh, it's in his mouth, it's in his mouth. Don't bite me off, mate. Little pocket rocket. We got it. Yeah, we got it. Just a little tacker. See how shallow we're in there. It's only 30 centimeters deep. Not much water there. Doesn't take much water to hold a big angry brim or a flatty, especially on the run-in tide. Oh, what is busting up there? There we go, folks, that might do us for today. Just a short little one out on the water, fishing that half metre to metre of water over the top of the weed beds, throwing 2.5 inch slim swims. Also had that grubs there, but I mainly flicked the slim swims around with that wind blowing and we were drifting a little bit quick. So the wind has started to kick up another level now. We've got a weather event coming in from out west, so I'm not going to hang around and get rained on, that's for sure. I'm going to call it and get out of here. But that was a nice quick little session, handful of brim, couple of nice flatties. Hopefully you get the opportunity to get out there and get into a few soon. Don't forget those nice shallow weed flats and that little 2.5 inch slim swims. I was fishing it on a 1/8, 1/0, but 1/12, 1/8, 1/6, 1/4, whatever you feel comfortable with. Use that wind if you've got it to throw a big long cast. On the flats, a few shakes, get it up and keep it moving. All right, all the best with the fishing. We'll see you on the water.